fact that you can go buy as much alcohol as you want and drink to your heart's content. How many people have been hurt by alcohol? You know, how many nights have you had where you were like, oh, I wish I didn't do that? But like psilocybin, it's so beautiful. You can't overdose. You know, you can't become addicted. This is not something you're going to want to do all the time because it's freaking work. You cry more than anything else. It's like you're just more like, oh my gosh, I got to get rid of all the crap that I didn't even know I was like holding on to, this grief. It's that for a lot of people, but then it frees up space. You know, it frees up room for you to be able to evolve in whatever way your soul or spirit or life wants to.
We'll make it out and fall in love tonight.
Because I think about this question all the time, and there's so many things. Like, we love to hear about people's stories, their journeys, their experiences, what they're going through, what they do, right? Why, the gifts that they share with the world, all of those kind of things. And I definitely want to get to that. But I also just want to start off with, like, what is in your space right now that you're working on that's kind of like a challenge? And because growth is always a continual process, evolution, and oftentimes we feel like it's pushing the edge of our comfort zone. And so what is that for you right now, where it's kind of like the edges of your growth that you're bumping up against? I guess that's a hard question to start off with.
Right.
Huh?
Here we go.
Am I starting? You want me to talk about that right now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Tell us your deepest, darkest secrets right now.
And go. Oh my gosh. Hello. This morning I got up and I had all this resistance. And I just thought, why am I, I have this idea of like this vision that I want for my life. Okay. So, and it morphs all the time, but I've been holding this one vision and I know what it's going to take to get there. Like I even wrote into ChatGPT, here's where I want to be. Please create a plan for me to get there and like really be specific. Like today, what do I do? Or this week or this month, and it broke down everything and it was beautiful. And I feel like in my body, I should be like, oh my gosh, let's go. But I would rather take down Christmas today and hang out with the kids and like the work of doing the thing, which is not something I don't want to do. I don't get it. I don't understand that resistance because in my heart, I feel like this is what I want, but yet the work to do it, it's like that getting over that hump to do it. Now I did it. I went and I did it. I led this meditation. I recorded this meditation because that's part of this vision. It's a big part of the vision. So I just did it anyway. I just was like, I'm doing it anyway. And I got my space ready and I did what I needed to do. And I started recording it. And then even halfway through, the music stops. And I was like, just keep going. Doesn't matter. Just finish it. Get to the end. And I did it. And then I popped on here with you. So I'm proud of myself for going up against that resistance. And I think if that persists over too much time, then the universe is like, maybe this isn't for you. But I think in the beginning, sometimes there's resistance and it's not a bad thing. It's there to show you something. It's there to teach you something. I don't know yet. I'm literally figuring it out in real time. So if you have any thoughts, please share them my way.
I was listening. I've been consuming copious amounts of Rick Rubin lately. He's a music producer and his words are just like music to my ears. I'm just gaining so much from listening to him. And he talks a lot about when you've got, you're doing a bunch of different things. You've got a bunch of different ideas. And he said that oftentimes he found over the course of his life where it's like, no matter what, there were some things that you put energy into that just kind of work out and seem to, get off the ground and flow easier. And then there's other things that, like, no matter how much you push and how much you strive and how much you struggle and how, the grind of trying to do this thing, whatever that thing might be, there's just certain things where it doesn't really click and it doesn't really work. And he said he had to learn to recognize, like, yes, you have to have, discipline and determination and you have to do the hard things and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, recognizing, like, sometimes it's, whether it's the universe or whoever, it's like, yeah, that's probably not the direction you should be going. And it's not to say that the energy is a waste by any means, but just that repetition of like, why can't I do this thing? I want to do this thing. This is my passion. This is what I want to do, or this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then it kind of never really feels like it's in flow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just what it brought up for me when you
No,
were
I love
talking.
it. I mean, that's my whole thing is living in flow. You know, how do we live more in flow? How do we do that? And the hard part is when you have, okay, you start off with so many choices in life, and then you start to narrow, 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 narrow. And it's when you get really narrow, when you get like, you're so in, like the space that I'm in is where I'm supposed to be 100%. And there's moments in that that are, oh my gosh, this is absolutely it. And then there's other moments where it's a little bit like, do I go this way or this way? Is it this way or this way? Is it this or this? There's no roadmap. And so you're literally like just testing something. Test it, see how it goes. Is that it? Is this it? You know you're close. It's like playing that hot, cold, warm game. And then just when you land on something, and then that's the thing for a while, the universe is like, okay, ready to shift, ready to transition again. I'm just curious because this is life. So it's like you never arrive. You're never like, oh, I have done it. I have found it. It's like a freaking constant evolution of yourself. And I think that is one of the biggest challenges we face as humans is this constant transition. And we just want like to pause and to have everything just be still for sometimes like a moment and then move, you know? So it's this balance of it all, at least for me.
Yeah.
Yes, that resonates quite a bit. I also come up with all of that, the struggle of the perception and the way you speak to yourself without allowing that shift to be natural and healthy, as opposed to what it used to be of like, you're not finishing this, you never stick with anything, and being afraid to try new things because you're not going to follow through. And so in a way it tries to keep you stuck in that. And then the paradox is you also recognize if you're stuck and not moving, you need to try new things. So there's so much shift that comes with that before you see it. It's like that perception really has to shift and see how it's helping you and change is healthy and good in that space.
Yeah.
That was a hard one for me. That was a
Yeah.
hard one.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you. And I think we just get kinder to ourselves along the way as we get older, hopefully.
Hopefully.
And one of the things I've come to believe, Eva philosophy, take it or leave it, is that nothing is ever wasted. So you may not know, like I said, I was a theater major. I studied acting and directing and producing, but then I started a nonprofit and then I went into other stuff. But then I started a podcast a couple years ago, and I've done things in my life where I was like, oh my gosh, this skill that I learned back when I was 21, or I worked at a radio station for 5 years. I thought I'd be like a Ryan Seacrest, and that didn't happen. But here I am circling back around to doing something that like pulls some information or gift from that other time in my life. So it's not like you spend 20 years doing something and then you go do something else. I think everything builds upon everything else. So nothing is wasted. You know, all your experiences build upon the last, if we can see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea that, because I've been thinking about that a lot lately, the influences of my entire life and how they're constantly being experienced through what I'm going through in the moment. And a lot of times I will reflect and look and see, okay, that's a component from, all the different jobs that I've had. That's a component from childhood. That's a component
Yep.
from all of these different things. And it's like at any given moment, I'm bringing forth that lesson I learned or that experience that I had. And I think the big part for me was, as you were talking about it, I was thinking about a huge struggle for me. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it. It's that constant thing of like, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I here to do? What is my mission? I've got to find my purpose. I've got to do this. I did it this, put all the energy into this and it didn't work. So now I have to drop that and I've got to go over here and I put the energy over here. And it's the realization of it's all the same thing, just feeding you towards whatever it is that you're going towards. And I think the destination is also kind of like the illusion, right? Where we don't know where we're all going and we don't know how we're all going to get there. But that idea of it's all just a component of that process. I really, really like that.
Yeah. I heard someone say the other day, what if this moment is perfect? Perfect right now. And this moment, and this moment, and this moment. So no matter what is in your life, it's perfect. It's exactly what it's meant to be. There's no, I have some purpose or mission or whatever. I mean, it's just this moment. My purpose, my mission is right now, is with you, is with this. And then just let it go. The ripple of who might see this one day, who might hear one sentence that one of us says that then helps to shift them into something. It's like, just allow this moment to be perfect and not always so forward thinking. I think the attachment, the poison is in the attachments. I heard that one time in this meditation, the poison is in the attachments, and it's the attachment to the past, attachment to the future, the need, everything that we just, this material world, all these attachments. It's like, just what if right now is just perfect? It's not always easy to live in, especially if we're doers and we're like, but I want to get stuff done and I want to leave a mark on this planet and, all of that. But like, just be present. That was such a hard concept for me to grasp many years ago, just like, what? I'd hear Eckhart say, be present, be in the now. I'm like, what is he even talking about? What does that even mean? It's a journey, life. It's experiences. And I think that's it. Just have a bunch of beautiful experiences.
I love that.
What if, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say the what if game is such a fun thing to have a hold on. As before, our brains are the fear of the what ifs and all of that, but to take that same what if and create something amazing with that, like, what if this moment is perfect? I love finding new ways to what if, especially when I'm in the downward spiral of the what ifs and what if this is happening? What if this? And just to find that I haven't heard that one before. What if this moment is perfect? That's a new one. I really like it.
I know it's not even mine. I wish I could tell you who said it, but my memory's not that great. So whoever said it out there, thank you. Like, it landed and I am now sharing it, and
and it's landing
and it's landing. So thank you, human out there. I appreciate you.
What has been, like, off the top of your head, what comes up when I ask you the question of what have been some catalyst moments in your life that have really shifted up things for you, where you've had to really take a look and address and go in a different direction, maybe?
Well, I mean, there's what I would maybe consider positive, like ahas, like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, literally something will just land on me. And it's a big moment that has, wow, I just got fireworks.
Right. That was interesting. We've never seen that before.
That's
so that's
new.
awesome.
All right.
Wow.
All right.
We need some like ahas, I guess, some more on wonder in our life. Thank you, universe. That was amazing. But also,
we've never seen that before, Eva.
Yeah, that was.
Oh my God.
I don't know what's going on here. That's awesome.
That's so funny. The other thing that of moments, and maybe I'll just give you one of each, and you can tell me what you want. Some come in like absolute despair, like in like oh my gosh, what is happening? So, a big, huge aha moment for me. Two big aha ones. One when I was 21, working at a radio station, and this epiphany to start a summer camp for kids impacted by HIV and AIDS, knowing nothing about any of that, being a theater major and broadcasting, and all of a sudden this like, Eva, this is what you need to do. I'm like, wait, what? This moment, and then the moment being on a plane coming back from Oregon to California, having sat with my sister on a psilocybin journey, and really like having now run that camp for 23 years and thinking, what am I going to do next? Like, that's all I know. I'm so good at that. What? But knowing that I needed to shift and that there was not really the same need anymore for me in that space. And so what do I do with everything that I've done? And that's when the idea of starting a retreat popped into my head. It was like, oh my gosh, there it is again.
There's got to be some.
I got to stop moving my hands. All this gesticulation is causing.
I don't think so. I'm sure it's probably. I doubt it. Who knows? Who cares?
It's confirmation from the universe.
Yeah, awesome.
So those are when, those don't happen very often. Those like really big ahas, but I'll have little ahas that lead to shifts. And then also like in the moments of despair. So big shift, getting a divorce. I think when we go through, I have 6 kids. I've known my
6?
ex-husband 6. Yeah. I've known him since 6th grade. We were high school sweethearts, and 16 years into marriage, choosing to leave. That was, whew, like I've never been in a darker place, but that led to this enormous spiritual awakening. And I don't say that lightly, like going from being Mormon, I spent from 22 to 37, like super
Eva,
devout
I was going to
Mormon.
joke. I was literally going to say, you've got 6 kids. What are you, Mormon?
Yeah, I was.
We grew up in Utah. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
anytime somebody's like got more than 2 kids or 3 kids,
Yeah.
I'm like, they're Mormon. They're definitely Mormon.
Or Catholic.
That's true. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Woolly. We absolutely love Woolly, and they're a longtime sponsor of this podcast. We're currently 100% decked out in all Woolly right now, and truthfully, it's how we walk around most days.
Woolly is made from 100% merino wool, which is known for its natural softness, which it is so soft, and that's really important. As while we're being healthier, I don't want it to feel scratchy or itchy. They're easy to care for, machine washable, because out of all the places that I'm spending my time, I don't want it to be spent on laundry.
Woolly has a wide variety of men and women's clothing, everything from socks, underwear, tops, bottoms, pants, leggings. What else, babe?
Did you say underwear and nice hoodies?
Another thing that I really love about Woolly is if it gets wet, you actually stay dry. All their clothes are sustainable and eco-friendly.
And because they're 100% merino wool, they're natural moisture wicking, which means they're not sticking to you and feeling gross.
Listeners of the podcast get an exclusive discount of 15% off of everything at Woolly. Head to the link in our description.
And be sure to enter the code Steph and Craig at checkout to get that 15% off.
So go get yourself some socks. Go get yourself some underwear. Again, that code is Steph and Craig. Save 15%.
But you know what? I've always wanted a lot of kids. I came here. I thought I would tell people in high school, I want 8. Like I came from a big family, but not because of religion. Like my mom was married 3 times, kids with each marriage. And so there were just always a lot of humans and stepbrothers and halves and stuff. I really love a big full house. It just really fills me up, even the chaos of it all. But that moment too also created a big shift. So I think these moments in life can happen for us. And that's where it come back to like, just be present with it, find value in this. Like, this is a moment right here for us to like, okay, it's happening. Here we go. Whatever, whether it's through excitement or through really being in like the depths of darkness. I think those kind of big moments happen for us in those stages.
Was religion a big part of your life? Was that something that, or was it just?
No, you know what? I really came here. This might sound so crazy, but like I came here spiritual. I remember being 5.
That doesn't
6
sound
years
crazy,
old.
by the way.
Okay.
That totally doesn't sound crazy.
My parents had no religion. I was baptized Lutheran, I think, when I was a baby, because that's what you do. But like we never went to church ever, ever, ever. No talk of God, nothing like that. But I remember being on a swing. I loved swings. I loved being in water and the movement of a swing, being 5 or 6 years old in my backyard and thinking to myself, who is looking through these eyes? Like, I've got a body. What is in here that is like perceiving the world? This is so wild. I am a human. And that just, it was so real for me. So I have always been on this, what are we doing here? What is this place really about? What is the truth? I have been many religions in my life. I would tell my parents in high school, can you just bring me to church? And they're like, what church? I'm like, I don't know, whatever. It's just down the street. Like, I didn't even understand that there were really different religions and that they believe different things. I was just drawn to I would pray all the time, not even knowing who or what I was praying to. So I've been, I'll say, like Christian, that non-denominational Christian, through a lot of my like later teens, early 20s. Then I became Mormon. I joined the Mormon church, not because of my ex-husband, but I truly sat with it and like sat in prayer, was like, this is what you want me to do, God? You better tell me this is where you want me right now. And when they say like, you get this feeling, like I legit got this feeling 2 days in a row, like, okay, well, right now, this is where I'm supposed to be. So whatever, let's go. 100% all in. And then when I got divorced, there was this like this hard pause that I could look at everything and gain a higher I don't want to say higher perspective, just a different perspective, again, to like reevaluate that spirituality as a kid that I had, that like just genuine curiosity around all of it. Because if you're Jewish and you really believe it, you really believe it. And if you're Christian, you really believe it. And if you're Muslim, you really believe it. But what about people who don't believe anything? Or what about people who believe all this other stuff, like fascinated by palm reading and astrology and psychic, and like, what is all of that? What are dreams? How come in my dreams I'm awake and I know I'm dreaming? Like, what is that? So I'm so fascinated by all of it. Like, truly, I ponder it all the time, every day. It consumes me. Like, probably the number one thing that consumes me is like, what is this place all about and how do we do it better?
What do you think dreams are?
Okay, as of listening to the telepathy tapes, which y'all, this podcast, the telepathy tapes, has completely blown my mind in so many ways. So
have you gotten through all of it?
Yeah, oh yeah. I listened to the whole thing. I went through all of it. Yeah. And I made my kids listen to 2 episodes because I couldn't stop talking about it at Christmas. And so on the car ride to go visit my daughter this past weekend in Arizona, my son and his boyfriend, we sat in there and I'm like, you guys got to listen to at least 2 episodes. You got to I think it is one of the most groundbreaking epiphanies, like ahas for us, that I don't think people are truly even understanding right now, like how truly impactful this is. So going back to your question of dreams.
Well, before we get to dreams,
okay,
because we can come back to dreams.
Okay.
I agree 100% with you. I think it's one of the most impactful podcasts that I've ever listened to before. And I don't even think about it as a podcast. I just think about it as this, I don't even know what to think about it. It's just this thing that occurred and flew into my brain and has changed me ever since. And after I got done listening to all of it, the list of things that has changed since then. And I think it was like 2 weeks ago or something like that. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. Yeah. But one of the first things that I saw getting back onto the phone, the little note things that we can put up on social media above our little icons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You threw up something. I don't remember the exact verbiage, but it was like
2025 is the year of
the year of telepathy, right?
100%.
Yeah. And so for me, I'm like, well, I'm following that because I'm just following signs. I'm just looking to see, yes. I guess I'm going this direction. I guess I'm going this direction. And so that's legitimately like, I saw that. I went and looked at through your stuff a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, you want to come on the podcast? Because if you like that, you're definitely going to have something to talk to us about.
Yeah. Okay. So, one thing I want to say about that is my acronym for FLOW is following life's opportunities wholeheartedly. So that's it. Like, that's being in the present moment. When you're in the present moment, you get a hunch, you feel something, you see something, you want to be led somewhere. You want to go check, did I pay the gas bill? You want to let me call that person. Okay. So this is going to answer your question. I believe Elizabeth Gilbert has a beautiful TED Talk out there around creativity, how creativity lives outside of us. It's related to her book, Big Magic. If you have not watched it.
We're smiling right now. We're over here smiling, Eva, because Elizabeth Gilbert's one of our favorites.
And Big Magic is one of
Big Magic is one of our most impactful books that has affected both of us.
I believe at this point, Eva philosophy again, take it or leave it, that this space is all the same. So the space of creativity, the space of spirits, the space of dreams, the space of telepathy, it's literally all around us right now. Okay. Right now it is here. It is accessible. You can access it through psychedelics. You can access it through meditation. The reason that autistic kids can access it so well is because they're not tied into the material. There's something about their mind for whatever reason, however they became autistic. Okay. They're not connected into their body the way that we are. We are so connected into our body, and then we're misaligned that it's hard for us to tap into that space, but we can tap into that space in our dreams. And it's this information field. It's this space of, can be like immense pure love, like absolutely the most, it's possibility. That's where all the ideas come from. The ideas that you have are not yours. It's our ego that tells us, I thought of this, I invented this. Absolutely not. The ideas have come into humans at the same time. So like the ideas for the phone came in at the same time, but someone patented it first. And so they get the credit. But this idea of living in flow, here I am thinking I'm inventing something, not really inventing it, but like this beyond a flow state. But then I hear this physicist talking about it. And then this woman in Ireland wrote a book about it. I was writing a book about it at the same time. Now you hear flow, 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 live in flow, be in flow. Like this does not come from us as humans. This comes from this field all around us. And I think those kiddos are super dialed into that space. It's just because they're not connected to their bodies, they're way more connected into that spirit realm, that creative space that's around us. And I have a belief, this is like a crazy belief, but I think that it's literally like a veil. In a psychedelic journey I had, one of the most profound experiences of my entire life, I saw spirits, like energy. And I was only in this space for a few minutes, but it was telepathic. Okay. Their voice was in my head, and I don't ever hear other voices in my head, except now a couple of times I have. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's the telepathy. Because I do think humans are supposed to be telepathic, like all of us. But they were saying to me, the veil, avatar, the veil, avatar. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is it. I could feel it was like that space of love and full creativity and awareness. And my body was in unison. Like it was in balance so that both those spaces could be aware of each other fully. And we're separate from it. Like those autistic kids are all the way into it. They're not in their body. We are so in our body that we can only really dial out in dreams or meditation or through substances. But I think we're meant to be able to hold that realm and this at the same time. And I think when we are in that space, there's no judgment. Like we would co-create freely. There's no greed and jealousy and shame and guilt don't exist. All the things that separate us, or if they do, they're just felt and move through. They don't fester inside of us. And I don't know exactly how to create it, but that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, how do we do this without having to put something in our body? How do we do this through just breath, through not 20 years of meditation? Because like, who's got time for it, unless you just really love it and want to do that. Like, I feel like there's got to be an easier way for us as humans to connect into that space. I think we're meant to. Darius Wright, do you know who Darius J. Wright is?
No.
Okay. I'm going to put him on your list to look up.
Hold on. I want to hear about Darius, but I also just want to mention for the listeners who haven't heard the telepathy tapes, the concept and idea behind it. And I say concept like I'm giving the listener who might be a little skeptical. I don't believe it is like a concept, right? The telepathy tapes is all about how they have discovered that autistic kids can read minds through tests and whatnot that they've done with their parents and their teachers and their caregivers and things like that. And that's just the very beginning. So they're tapping into people. Yeah.
They're tapping into this other space. And the proof is undeniable. People can say whatever, the study, this, that, like that's just the science kind of materialism trying to hold back what is coming. That's why I think if you really if I worked for the CIA right now, I'd be like, what autistic kid wants to work with us? Because if they can really read minds, if some of these kids could really read minds, like you cannot lie. You cannot lie. It is the lie detector test, like we just get to be real. We get to be authentic. Authenticity vibrates so much higher than love. Like, what if we were just all real? What if we just let go of our shame, our guilt? We all have done stuff. All of us have it. Like, we just need to let it all go. And that's how we get to this place. So anyway, we don't need to go into Darius, right? Other than he teaches people how to have out of body experiences. And It's like his whole platform. And he's been doing it since he was a kid, and he has all these testimonials from people who can do it. I think they go to the same place. The stuff that he talks about, he says it in different words, but the stuff that these kiddos talk about and the way that she kind of talked about it, it's all the same. It's like I've listened to so much random stuff that I can see the pieces, how so many people are talking about the same thing. They just don't realize that they are. And so that's why I say, I think that there's a realm right around us that we're meant to be able to tap into, and all the poison, all the attachments, the foods, the you doing things that are in out of alignment with your biggest heart's desires, all of that just keeps us from tapping into that harmony.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Heritage Still.
A while ago, we realized that all of our nonstick pans wasn't the healthiest choice for us, so we decided to swap all of them out and went with Heritage Still titanium strengthened stainless steel.
Heritage Still is a family-owned company that's actually located right here in Tennessee where we live. Here's some amazing things about all of Heritage Still cookware. Lifetime warranty.
You can't beat that.
They're versatile and can be used on all cooktops.
They're easy to clean, dishwasher safe, and a chemical-free cooking surface.
They're also oven safe, so you can take that frying pan and stick it right into the oven, which I absolutely love. So it's time to upgrade your cookware. Stop messing around with those nonsticks. Stop killing your family. And that might be an extreme, but it's definitely not healthy.
You deserve it. Your family deserves it.
Listeners of the podcast can save 10% on anything over at Heritage Still. Head over to heritagestill.us/Steph and Craig.
One more time, that's heritagestill.us/Steph and Craig. The link is also in the description.
And be sure to enter in the code Steph and Craig to save that 10%. Heritage Still, chef-grade cookware for less.
Like we're supposed to be harmonious with nature, and we are part of this earth. And why is there, humans are just not aligned to everything else has rhyme and reason. Everything else knows, but like what is going on with us that there's this disconnect? Why are we still going to war? Why is anyone putting red food dye in anything? Like, we all know it's bad for you. No, we don't care. Nothing needs to look red. I'm okay with it not looking red anymore. It's like, who's pushing the button to do that still? It doesn't make sense to me that all of this still exists in our world. And so it's like trying to figure out how to, I don't know, help wake people up out of the, like, it can be different. It can be so beautiful. We can be co-collaborating and truly looking to solve problems that we have and really look at things that aren't working and just put the ego aside and be like, let's start from scratch. Like, no BS. What's it going to take to build a better school system? Like, legit, we know our schools aren't working. What's it going to take to build a better food system? What's it going to take to end wars? Like, what's it going to take? The monetary system's a hot mess. Like, what's it going to take? And if we took the brightest people who genuinely care about that thing, I will not be in certain areas. Like, I know what I'm not good at. So I'm not going to be sitting in a meeting that's talking about something financial. Let's say, like, I'm not the person. But if you want to talk about spirituality, if you want to talk about psychedelics, I got you. You want to talk about like bringing people together, like forming community. I know how to do that. So what are you good at? And bring that thing to the table. Like, what are you excited about? Bring that thing to the table. That's all you have to do. And someone else will bring another puzzle piece and someone else. But if you're blocked because of all the crap in life, you're never even going to be at the table. So it's like, how do we get to the table to where we're actually like legit? How do we solve this? Or how do we create something better? And people will just choose it. Look at like digital cameras. People just chose digital cameras, and Polaroid and film kind of became a classic thing. Like, you didn't have to really even try hard. You just present a better model and people will choose it. But we've got to get healthy in our bodies, our minds, and our spirit so that we're bringing our best selves to the table, and we're not creating from a place of ego, but from a place of like love and openness. Yeah, I can go on and on about all this, obviously.
I like you brought up the digital cameras, and there was something that I learned recently that it was just a neat way to really tie into the being into flow and being willing to change and grow, and not allowing your ego to hold on to, this is the way it has to be. This is what it is. We have to be the best. Kodak used to be the main in film industry. Kodak was it. And when digital started coming online, Kodak was like doubling down. It's not gonna stick. It's not gonna last. They're like holding on. We will hold this. We're not gonna evolve to see what our customers want. We have this and we're staying here. We are the best. And because of that stagnation, they still, the film, they still have their hand in it. But because
They're
of
out
that
there with their 35
stagnation,
millimeter.
now Sony has come in, and it's like this digital that it's been able to go. And it's just like speaking to that of like, people are going to choose to grow and evolve. Not all, obviously, not all, but just being in that flow and allowing that to come in is such, it's where the magic is.
And that's the telepathy. Like, hello, let's just, y'all can say it's not a thing, but I'm sorry, I already thought it was a thing. I already think language it really messes us up. Like if I could just walk up to you and just know you, like just see you and know you, not just know only what you tell me, but like know you and then just love you, like where you're at. And then it's like, all that's just by the wayside and we can just create from there. This world would be so amazing. Like people would just show up better, and I think that's part of this evolution. Like there's physical and then there's a spiritual evolution. And that's what I'm so excited that I know there's going to be some doctors out there that are going to be like, we got to study this. We got to figure out what this is. And then like, can other people do it? Can we train our brains to do this? When I think about psilocybin and how it heals the brain, literally it's healing the brain. So people can go do whatever studies they want to do, but it creates new neural pathways. So microdosing, go ahead.
I'm going to slow it down, Eva, and not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Just I definitely want to like hear everything that you have to say. And I also have to take a breath.
Please do that.
So let's get into psilocybin and psychedelics, because we have had our own personal journey and experience with it. We've done microdosing. We've done all sorts of different journeying. We've done lots of work with psilocybin, with marijuana, with, I was going to say LSD. I'm not yet, but what else? MDMA. So take us down the path of what has been your experience with psychedelics and what have you found? Like you said, it's healing neural pathways. And I 100% agree with you. But I really want to hear about your experience with it, because I know that it's an important part of your work and what you do.
Okay, let me think about, let me start by saying that I spoke at DARE graduations in college. Okay, I didn't touch alcohol till I was 20 and only for a year, and then not again until I got divorced. Never, ever any kind of drugs, quote unquote, like never anything. I don't even take birth control, like nothing. Okay. So, after I got divorced and I wrote these books on living in flow, and I was like, how do I get back to that? I know what it feels like when your life is in alignment. When I started the nonprofit and I had no business, I didn't know anything about starting a nonprofit, but it led to this beautiful career. I thought, how do I do that again? So I had these concepts and ideas that were definitely brought in from that creative space, not my ideas. Brought in, I just typed it out really fast, as quickly as it came in. And then I was coaching people on it and they could not shift. They could not shift. I was like, I don't get it. You need to quit your job. I know you need to quit your job. We talk about this every week. I don't get it. Like, please go into physical fitness. Like, that is what you love. That is where you talk about that with me all the time. Stop working for this guy that's treating you bad at this company that you don't like. So I'd be on really long walks. Universe, this can't be it. Like, this is not what is going on with humans. Like, how do we evolve? And then the thing that I have resistance against, okay, like, of course, right? Hello, resistance, circling back around, was like, just the word psilocybin kept coming up, psilocybin. I'd hear it in a podcast. I'd see it somewhere. Going back, Craig, to what you talked about, like seeing the signs. And I just thought, no, I don't know anything about drugs. Like, I can't do this. But as I stepped back from that judgment and I said, let me just go learn. Let me go listen to some podcasts. Let me go read some books. Let's go take a class. Let me just see, where do I even get this stuff from? I don't even know. And it came into my life very synchronistically. My very first experience, and this is why we go back to telepathy, let's just say a low dose. Okay. A low dose of psilocybin. Didn't really feel much. And then my partner at the time said, let's stack it with cannabis. And I was like, what are you, crazy? Like, I think you're crazy right now. Like, I just want to just do one thing. And he's like, well, I'm going to do it. And I said, okay, I guess I'll come with you. That combination, and this only happened one time because we only did it one time. We were telepathic. It was so bizarre. It was like the most wild experience. And that was enough for me to say, there is something here. I don't know what it is, but there's something here. And I need to look into what this is. And that led me on this path of now I'm going into my 55th retreat on Wednesday. In the last 3 years, I've run 55 retreats for people to learn how to work with this medicine. A lot of people who find me have never worked with it before. And so we introduce people to this medicine. So I have had profound experiences with psilocybin. It's generally for me, not about the trauma. And it's not like I'm working through stuff. It's like world stuff. I don't know. It always takes me to like the world and humanity and all of that. But I have sat with, I feel like MDMA is an amazing tool for couples and anyone struggling with PTSD. There's so much studies around that. Beautiful experiences. I've seen marriages heal with people utilizing that medicine. I think cannabis is a tool for me personally, creativity. When used really intentionally, it's like the mind just opens up. I can go deeper into meditations as well. So I feel like that's a really beautiful starter kind of place for some people. And then I have had the most profound experiences, 3 of them, with 5-MeO DMT, which is from a toad. You smoke it. It's like a 20-minute experience and you're pretty much back to baseline. And it mirrors psilocybin in that the molecular structure is almost identical. So it's like you take the whole psilocybin journey and compact it. The way that I explain it to people is psilocybin's like you've been driving around in a car your whole life with really muddy windows. You don't even know they're muddy. You're just bumping around, moving through life, having experiences. Psilocybin washes a little bit of that window off and you can see out and like, oh my gosh, this thing. And you gain a new perspective on something in your life and you get to embody love in a deeper way. I think that's 2 of the things I've seen. And then beyond that, you have this incredible neuroplasticity for 21 to 30 days afterwards. Your mind goes back to this childlike mind, and you're able to, if you wanted to learn a language or play an instrument or push those creative neural pathways, or potentially tap into telepathy and like really wherever part of brain that lives in, if you were to like sit in some kind of whatever telepathy kind of trainings might be out there. I don't even know, but like, is that possible? I'm curious around it. Is it healing our brain? But my 5-MeO experiences, absolutely. I mean, I have 6 kids, so I have a lot of beautiful, like, oh my gosh, moments in my life. But those moments, particularly my first one, top of the list as far as awe and wonder experiences in my life, and have completely put me on a whole new path. When you talk about a moment in your life that puts you on a whole new path, sitting with 5-MeO, whole new path.
Tell us about these retreats. I'm excited to learn about them.
Okay. So on the plane ride home from taking my sister on a journey, right when Oregon decriminalized psilocybin, the idea dropped in, literally just like, oh, she's open. Here we go. Bink. And it said, Eva, you have raised millions of dollars to run these camps. What if people actually pay you and you form a little cabin, you rent a big house and you bring people in, and all the modalities that you use to heal from your divorce, not psychedelics, breath work, yoga, sound bath, meditation, being present, plus everything that you've learned from running these summer camps. I can take kids from any background, from East St. Louis, Chicago to Podunk, Nebraska. These people who come from very different places, and they are family by the end of 1 week, actually even by the end of just even a couple hours. So I knew I could bring people, anyone together where they would be able to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is huge. Being able to be vulnerable is so powerful and healing. So creating settings where people get to be themselves, authentic, like literally what I look like right now is what I would be looking like at the retreat. Just be yourself. And so what would happen if we stacked these various healing modalities with psilocybin? Like, what would that look like? And could we help people move through transitions in their life? Most people who find me, I didn't know who would find me when this idea popped in. I literally from one day to the next had the company like up and running. It's like, all right, let's see who comes. Like one of those things, like, I don't know, let's start a podcast. I don't know, let's write a book. I was like, I don't know, let's start a retreat. Because what was a house with 6 people? I'm used to 100 kids and 50 staff and a whole week of programming and all the staff training. Like, just bring some adults together and have fun and help them come home to themselves. Show them these different, we cold plunge. We do these different things that maybe you never do or you've heard about, but in your mind, you're thinking that's kind of woo, or like, does that even work? Or you don't even have time to even know. When I was going through therapy, I kept saying, just tell me how to heal. Just give me a checklist. I don't even know what to do. And she's like, there's no checklist. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to create something for someone. Because when you come out of a religion or you come out of the matrix, like your very corporate way of living or working or doing the things and having the family and these life transitions happen, it can feel really stuck. You can feel really like, I don't even know what's next. I don't even know like how to move forward. And so these modalities for people really help them to, it's real self-care. It's not like, I thought self-care, for me, self-care was like getting a manicure. Like that was what self-care was to me. I didn't really understand what self-care was. So yeah, that's what we do. We do them in Colorado and in decriminalized cities on the West Coast. And like once a month, we'll have men's retreats, women's retreats, co-ed retreats. We work with couples as well. I've worked with 21-year-olds up to 80-year-olds. Hundreds of people I've taken on journeys. What I found through the retreats, the biggest takeaway is you've got to start low and slow with people. They've got to build a relationship with this medicine. You hear a lot about a hero's journey or just go in and take all this. Like it's really low and slow. Build the relationship. And it's not hard to work with. The earth is making it so easy for us. The fact that you can go buy as much alcohol as you want and drink to your heart's content. How many people have been hurt by alcohol? How many nights have you had where you were like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. But like psilocybin, it's so beautiful. You can't overdose. You can't become addicted. This is not something you're going to want to do all the time because it's freaking work. You cry more than anything else. It's like you're just more like, oh my gosh, I got to get rid of all the crap that I didn't even know I was like holding on to, this grief. It's that for a lot of people, but then it frees up space. It frees up room for you to be able to evolve in whatever way your soul or spirit or life wants to.
It's beautiful.
I was going to say, you did a beautiful job of describing that. Now I'm tongue-tied. I was just so in the moment with you that my mouth forgot how to work for a minute.
Thanks.
That sounds amazing. And you've done 55? Is that what you said?
I was going into 55. Yeah. In 3 years, I started them in January of 2022. Took me like 4 months to advertise and like kind of put it together as far as like, who's going to sign up for this? Like, is anyone even going to come? And my first retreat, I had 2 nurses who were totally burnt out from COVID and 2 therapists and a massage therapist. And it was beautiful. And it was way too busy. I had way too much stuff packed in. We've evolved a lot. Like, where do you put the sound bath? Where do you put the cold plunge? And I learned that I could lead meditation. I had no idea. And breath work. I love breath work. For anyone out there who's like, no psychedelics, go find a breathwork course, probably at a yoga studio near you. You can connect into yourself, into that space, okay? That space that the kids go and you go in your dreams and all that, in that creative space, just through breath. Like you can release that DMT in your mind and have these ahas and these epiphanies. Or in a sound bath, I think we're going to be learning so much more about sound and the frequency and like our body being water, and how the words we speak, the music we listen to, how it truly impacts us. So yeah, I introduce people to all of these things that seem really woo. But then when you go do the research, I had an attorney who showed up and he was like, what? Dr. Emoto? What? Scale of consciousness? David R. Hawkins? Huh? Like all the things we talk about, at breath work. And then he came back to volunteer at a retreat, maybe like a half a year later. And he had a file like 3 inches thick. And he's like, there's proof. I got it if you need to see it. There's proof. I got it if you need to see it. So I think we're really finding real ways of healing and coming home to ourselves so that we can live this flow and we can maybe be telepathic, or who knows what other stuff might be possible for us. I think maybe we are superheroes and we just don't know it yet.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Element 6. Listen, everybody, get on the pickleball train. It's time. It's the fastest growing sport right now. Everybody's playing it, us included. And rather than buying yourself a cheap paddle, you might as well upgrade and go with an Element 6 premium pickleball paddle. All E6 paddles are USAPA approved.
And if you're like me and you're just starting out, the lightweight design and comfortable grip is important while you're learning how to get your swings down.
Element 6 was founded by two brothers here in Tennessee who wanted to create the perfect pickleball paddle, and they did. As soon as I picked up their torrent and started playing, it leveled my pickleball game up like tenfold.
And they also look good.
They do look good. Listeners of the podcast can save 10% on any products over at Element 6.
And to help you take the hassle out of it, if you're in the US, they are also offering free shipping and returns.
Click the link in the description of this episode and
be sure to enter code Steph and Craig at checkout so you can get your 10% off and a special gift from the guys at Element 6.
We can't wait to see you on the courts. I agree, 100%. I want to ask you about your books too, because authoring a book, and it's one of those things that I think I want to do it one day. I know Steph wants to do it one day. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to write books and share their messages and share their stories and things like that. What were some of the things that you had to kind of confront along the way to get over that hump of, putting yourself out there in that way? Or maybe there wasn't any struggle for you.
Oh yeah. No, there was the struggle. So the concept was there. Right? Like I had the concept, because first that started with kind of two parts. One is, how do we live in flow? So I did this thing at 21. Did I just get lucky, or can other people recreate this flow in their life? So sitting down with a giant whiteboard and just kind of looking at what does it take, and building the structure of like, what's the model here? And then also I had these acronyms that were coming in, like my acronym for flow. This acronym for love, live open, value everything popped into my head one day. And I was thinking about that constantly. This acronym for fear, focusing energy on alternate realities. I was like, okay. And then an acronym for the self. And so I had these concepts that were just not leaving me alone. Just like, Eva, do something with this, do something with this. And I thought, okay, I don't even know where to start. Like, where do I even start? And then I was prompted. I had hiked the Grand Canyon, which if you can't even like walk a mile, don't go hike the Grand Canyon rim to rim. But for some reason, intuition told me to do it. And I had this like amazing experience. So I just started with an experience. I thought, when we're stuck in life, David R. Hawkins talks about be courageous. Do something courageous with your life. And so for me, I thought, okay, I'm going to hike the Grand Canyon. And I did that. So the woman who put together those tours asked for a testimonial. And I thought, okay, I can write a testimonial about my experience. And what was going to be a paragraph led to pages in a Google Doc. So starting with a moment that I could really connect into, where I didn't matter. I have these concepts all floating around, but I'm not outlining it and like trying to make sure it's perfect and like this story is going to go with this. It was like, whatever, just open a Google Doc, put on some water, take your shoes off, take some deep breaths. And thanks to Elizabeth Gilbert, hey, creativity, we're going to co-create here. My books are actually co-authored with And That Which Is Creativity. It says Eva Payne and That Which Is Creativity. Because I'm like, look, if this sucks,
that's awesome.
Thanks. I was like, if this sucks, it's on you also. And if it's good, like high five. And so, yeah, I just sat down and in probably 3 weeks wrote the whole thing. And I just said, okay, let's go. And I would think of like, okay, love. What do you want to say about love? And I would literally talk to the universe. What do you want to say about love? I didn't think about where to start. I just started typing and my fingers were just typed, like it was just pouring out of me. Type. And then I was done. I was crying during it. It was like so cathartic, so therapeutic for me. And then I'd go on my merry way. And then all of a sudden this prompting, like, let's go sit outside. It's a beautiful day. Bring your computer, bring your water music, and let's go write the next chapter. I'd be like, okay, let's go do it. So I tell the kids, like, don't come outside. I gotta go get in flow and just start writing. And then I would just write. And there it was. So I wrote the books super quick. The problem was in getting it out. So there's 2 books, but really it's 1 book. But I just couldn't, like the 2 concepts in my mind, one of them felt so much more personal, like the acronyms, because there were stories of my life kind of tied to it and opinions and things that I thought maybe there'd be more judgment around, where the Flow Life Funnel is just, it's an hour audiobook, super short read, because it was really only supposed to be a chapter. But I thought, let me just put that into the world first. It's this little book. It's like, you're going to be, if you listen to it, you're going to be like, yeah, of course. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Huh. I mean, it isn't like earth shattering, but it's like things maybe you've thought about, but haven't quite pieced together yet on like, what is the next thing I'm supposed to do in my life? So I put that into the world first. So it was fun for me to learn the process. I recorded the audiobook at home. I had to figure out how to self-publish. I did try to go down the route of like finding a publisher and all of that, but it felt like writing grants. I don't like writing grants. That's the one part of the nonprofit that was really tough. So I thought, I don't want to do this. Like whoever's meant to read it will read it. It's not about like become a #1 bestseller. Just put it into the world. If your great grandchild reads it one day and it helps them, awesome. So just the detachment from it needing to be anything, just put it into the world. And so my advice or recommendation to you or anyone is, it's just got to pour out of you. Like, don't worry. You get an editor to help with all of that, all of the stuff, like just start from a place that you connect into your heart. It has to come from your heart. And if you're just speaking from your heart, who cares about grammar? Who cares if this connects to this? Like, just let it flow out of you. And then you just keep taking the next step. Okay, now what do I do? Find an editor. Okay, now what do I do? Who can help me design a cover? Okay, what's the process to like formatting it? Okay, audiobook. Do I want to do it? Do I want someone else to do it? Okay, I'll do it. I just learned and went along the way. I think it's kind of the path of an entrepreneur, though. If you're an entrepreneur out there, you like the figuring out of like how to do something, the start, like the taking an idea from your mind and then manifesting it into something real is part of the fun, I think. And so for me, it was a journey. Definitely. It took me like 2 years to actually publish it from when I wrote it, but it's out there.
Well, congratulations. It's amazing. Yeah.
Thanks.
It's a massive accomplishment.
Thanks. I think once you do it, you're like, okay, all right. So I think it's for you, like if it's something you want to do, don't think of it as like this giant hill. Just like, it's just one more thing you're going to do in your life. You're just going to put a book out there. And who says it has to be 500 pages or it has to like, make it small. Just do it. Because once you do it one time, just like the retreat, once I did it one time, I knew, oh, I can do this again. Like when I did my first summer camp, I thought, oh, I could do this again 23 years later. So it's just doing it the first time sometimes. Like for me, recording these meditations, building something that's more structured than just recording it just to record it and put it out there in the world, but like putting some form and structure around it. When you do something the first time, it can be like the universe is like, do you really want it? Are you sure? Okay, let's see if you're willing to like put the work in. And then once you get going, it should have, but just, a flow to it. And it's okay if there's pauses in it. Like the book took me a long time. Don't give yourself like, oh, it has to be done by this day. I give myself deadlines and then I pass those deadlines. And then I'm like, oh, this is a thing about procrastination, holding myself accountable. Check. Okay. I know I need to come back to that. And what is the next step? What am I the most excited about? And so, yeah, you should do it. Do it this year, 2025. Put your book out there into the
There you
world.
go. You heard it. Do it this year. I want to circle back to something that we talked about earlier on when Craig
Yes.
asked you, what do you believe that dreams are?
Oh, thank you.
I want to hear that.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. So I think there are a couple things. One is there's different levels of dreams. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the dreams that you're just like, just really rest, like just giving your body rest. They're chaotic. They're nothing. You maybe don't even remember them when you wake up. And then there's this level of dream that you remember, and your subconscious mind, this is what I've heard, and I kind of do think this is what it is. Everything in your dream is you. Everything in your dream is a representation of you. And it's just how like your subconscious mind talks to you. So it's easier for it to show you an image than maybe show you just like sit down and have a conversation with you. Although my dreams have sometimes even said to me, like, Eva, do not forget this when you wake up. Repeat it back to me. And I'd be like, okay. And I'm repeating something back to my dream. Like, it's like, we need you to pull this from the dream world out into this space. And then there's the lucid dreams where you're dreaming. You are in the space and you're dreaming. I think those lucid dreams, you really are somewhere else. Like that consciousness is in some other dimension or space having an experience. I do think it's where spirits live, the like soul's essence, energy of people live there. I think that's where these autistic kids go. Like, is this space? I think it is a space that we can all access, and we just aren't trained on how to. I think we're all supposed to be able to go there really easily. And some people say, oh, I don't dream. I don't think that's baseline for human beings. I think we're meant to be able to go to that space. I've heard the most bizarre things about dreams. So I have my partner's friend. He had an entire life in his dreams. They were so real and I was like, anything prophetic? He's like, no, I have a whole life there. Every night, it felt like he was just going to work. And he had this whole family, this whole life, this whatever. He started having to take medication so that way he would not remember his dreams, because it was like literally living two lives, because he would come back with full memory of like literally like this, and then waking up into the dream and then waking up into this space. But it was 100% real for him. So that fascinates me. There's a podcast out there, which I can go back and send to you if you're interested. I can't remember the doctor's name off the top of my head, but he studies dreams. And he says, instead of dreams showing you the past and the subconscious mind talking to you, dreams are really prophetic. They're really trying to show you the future. And there's all this research around how dreams are really prophetic. My daughter's boyfriend saw her in a dream before he met her. It's only happened to him a couple times, but he knew he was going to meet her. He knew what she was going to be wearing, where they were going to meet, not when, but that this was the person he was going to marry. And then it unfolded in that exact way. And I asked him, what do you think that is? And he said, I have so much anxiety around the future that I think it was showing me my future, trying to give me some peace. Like, you're going to meet someone. It's going to be okay. She's going to be great. And so it gave him this peace that the future was going to be okay. I think it's interesting that human beings collectively share dreams sometimes. I've heard where partners can be in the same dream. They literally know what each other's wearing. They wake up and they're like, red dress in the bar. Yep, you were wearing this. We were talking about this. So they're in the same place. And when big events like 9/11 or sometimes Earth, like natural disasters, a lot of people will dream about it. You'll hear a lot of people like they knew a week before, days before. So I think there's a collective consciousness that we can all tap into that is just, maybe it's out of time. And so you just kind of see everything all at once. I think it's a lot of all of that, and maybe a lot more that we're not really sure about. But I know somebody knows. There's no way someone out there hasn't done the research and hasn't figured it out. It's like, why is this not more talked about and shared? And, again, this goes to my whole, like, what's really going on here? Because why are we all not super fascinated by this? And where's all the studies? And why are we not trying to be better about connecting and remembering our dreams? And why is this not a subject in school? I would have rather talked and learned about this than algebra. When have I ever used algebra in my life? Let's talk about this. So I don't know. That's where I'm at with it.
I love that. I've never heard anybody else reflect that back. I'm sure that happens a lot, to where the dreams come through and said, I need you to remember this. I had, like, the first time that I remember that is, I'm going to say it again so that you don't forget. And just to have them reiterating. So when you said that, it just kind of like,
yeah. And you know what it was telling me? It said, be a clear channel to your higher self. It kept saying, be a clear channel to your higher self. Eva, say it back. Be a clear channel to your higher self. So when I woke up, one of the ways that you can remember your dreams is when you wake up, before you open your eyes, play your dream back in your mind. Just allow it to play back again once or twice and see it and kind of pull out the biggest points. And then before you talk to anyone, have a little journal and just write it down. Just write it down next to you. And who knows why? Who knows what it's for, or why you're going to need to remember that one day? Or even if you are, maybe you won't, but maybe just the practice of remembering will allow you to be more available in the dreams. One of the things in the telepathy tapes, which was fascinating, was that teacher connected with that student in the dreams. Do you remember that part where the autistic kid would find the teacher in dreamland and give her ice or something to help wake her up in the dream so she could, like, I'm in the dream. That is so fascinating to me. That feels so much like psychedelic experiences. Like you're waking up out of the dream that is this life, sometimes into a space that feels more real. And it's a lot to hold. And so I think those kids, those autistic kids, if they can help people wake up in the dreams, like in a really careful, safe way, if they can hold that space for adults, the parents in their lives, their siblings, their, just like, there's so much information, I think, that can be garnered in that space, so much wisdom that we can bring back to make this material world better.
Well, Eva, this has been amazing and super wonderful. And I'm really, really grateful that we got the opportunity to meet and chat and learn more about you and everything. What do you have coming up this year that you want to share with everybody?
So many wonderful things. But really, I would say if you're interested in a retreat, flowliferetreat.com. That's where all the information is, Flow Life Retreat. Also, I have a podcast out there. Well, two. One is called Ideas to Human Better, that right now has just really cool podcasts. And I only do it when I just find someone that I'm like, I need to know more about that person. But I also have a lot of guided meditations out there. So if someone's interested in sitting in a guided meditation and you don't meditate, or you're not sure, maybe just pick one and see how it goes. And the other podcast is called Set to Love, the number 2. It was a personal development podcast that I did with my best friend during COVID. So there's so much good information on there, but that's the podcast that I'm going to be, I'm changing over right now to just be these guided meditations so they can all live on one place and not be mixed with anything else. And that's what I would say to people is like, just tap into your heart, brain coherence, just really start from that place. Find a modality that resonates with you, that can help you come back to that wholeness. And if there's anything that I can do to help someone, whether it's one of the books, you can just, it's The Magic and Flow, the Flow Life Funnel. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. But I just believe that we're supposed to be better humans. And I see a future where we're going to look back at this time and think, holy smokes, we were in the dark ages and we had no idea. That was our baseline. We had no idea how good it can be. And I think all of these things that are coming forth, all of these beautiful conversations that we're having, the books that you two want to write, the podcasts, the information, the modalities, they're here to help us. And I think that spirit realm that is all around us, whatever it is, I don't even know, I'm just calling it that right now, is trying to talk to us. And the more that we can tap into that intuition, like that's what we need to be doing. Do that a little bit more. And if I can help in that process by unblocking in some way, I'm here for it.
Awesome. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, everybody, it's, baby, you got to help me.
Are we?
Yeah. Expect the best.
That's where we're going. We're just right
it.
at the end. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And expect the best.
Plan for the greatest.
We got a wild ride. Wait and see, you and me. We were meant to be.
We want to make something perfectly clear. This podcast is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as a substitute for professional advice. We're sharing with you our own personal experiences and insights, things we have found to be helpful on our healing journey. But we are not licensed therapists. If you need help, it's important to seek out a qualified professional. Remember, we believe that we all do better when we heal together. See you soon.